is going to be fun. People have no idea. You've downloaded the podcast. You're ready to listen to it. You have no idea what you're in for today, because I don't know what we're in for today, because I'm joining. I'm hot off the game, and I've hooked up with the fellas, and we're ready to go for this episode of In Goal Radio, the podcast presented by the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Woody and Hutch are together. You guys are going to have to carry me today, big time.
Well, I mean, you're lucky that you were coming in hot from the rink, Darren, because while we were waiting for you to arrive virtually, poor Hutch had to watch me stretch because I've got a game in about 40 minutes. So I'm down there on the floor with the yoga mat, getting all stretched out.
Woody playing with his toys.
You can just see him rolling his eyes back here. So at least you didn't have to deal with any of that, buddy. Well, it's all smooth for you. Hutch has to erase that from his memory.
Think about getting in there?
Well, there's a brownout in the neighborhood from plugging in all those foam rollers he's got down there.
You have power foam rollers?
Oh, Pat, yeah, you bet. I got
racks of them.
We don't
what
mess
does
around.
A power foam roller do?
It vibrates as well.
Like a little massage, a little hyper ice vibrating foam roller, Darren. We got to get you up to speed on the good stuff. It's a little slice.
Those things hurt.
No, it's a little slice of heaven. The vibration makes it more. It adds. You have the pain; it's still there, but the vibration adds a little massage element. So it's like enjoyable agony.
You know what I did buy it? Speaking of torture, and I saw this at the rookie tournament when I was there with the Vegas Golden Knights in El Segundo, California, earlier this year. This spiked mat,
yes,
that you stand on and you lie on.
We have one here.
I tried it when I was there and loved it, so I bought a neck spiked
pillow
roller.
This one,
a mat. Yes, that's exactly. You guys are showing me on the Zoom.
So James Wendland, who was a guest on the show a few months back, it's been a while, introduced those to us and uses it in part of the footwork in one of the videos over at ingoalmag.com. And several people, as a result, have now made this spike mat part of their daily routine. Right beside the bed, you get up in the morning and it sort of gets you grounded. It awakens all the muscles in the feet, and it's great. You got to check out James's videos and learn more about it.
I'm not doing it when I get out of bed. No chance. I need to psych myself up to stand on that thing because it hurts.
You get used to it, but so many people,
you do not get used to it. Do not tell people you get used to it. You don't get used to it.
Well, maybe you don't.
I got used to it. That's why we have one here in my basement. Darren, it's not by my bed, Darren.
Don't be so soft.
Better.
Don't be so soft, Darren. You can do it.
I am soft, and I do it. I follow through with it, and I do it, and I'm proud of myself for doing it. But don't try and tell me you get used to that.
Yeah, I actually know some guys who now keep them in their hockey bags too, so it's part of their warm up every day when they get to the rink.
Wow, and that's where I saw it was with the Vegas Golden Knights rookies, and guys just love it. It just brings everything
up all the receptors in the foot.
Yeah.
I guess now that it's Black Friday, we're going to have to put a link to the spiky mats in the podcast notes.
Yeah, because we do have, you can buy them through us and yeah. We
really?
We like our spike mats.
So I should have bought it through you.
You definitely should have, because ours would have come with the neck pillow too. Ours is over there. I've seen guys use it for rehab too, to stimulate like Achilles and stuff as they get ready to go on the ice, like put it underneath the Achilles with some weight over top
Achilles
of it.
My feet when I stand on it.
Yeah, dad jokes. That's well done. I like that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Somebody needs to put up with me.
You guys mentioned that I was coming in hot. Just for awareness, I was doing the Vegas Golden Knights against the Philadelphia Flyers, so you can look at the schedule and know what night that we're recording this. It's the best game I've seen in a long time by a goaltender who allowed 4 or more and ended up being first star of the game. Ilya Samsonov was down 3-0 in this game. Talk about mental strength. Down 3-0 in the second period, down 4-2, and was outstanding. And it was really cool. It was old school hockey.
Yeah, you told us
breakaways is old school hockey.
Well, he faced 7 if you count the shootout.
Okay. That's incredible.
And he stopped all 7.
So that's like, I mean,
that's minor hockey.
With all due respect to Ilya Samsonov.
Might tie into the parents segment today.
Come out to my Monday night skate. I'll show you 7 breakaways and definitely more than 4 goals and still feel like you're playing good.
And the coach was like, our ringside reporter, Ashley Weiss, said, what's going through your mind, Bruce? And he said, you don't want to go in there. You don't want to get inside my head during a game like that. But it was fun to watch. Fedotov, Matvei Michkov, it was like watching a Team Russia practice.
See, you know what that reminds me of? The old days with Alain Vigneault as the coach here in Vancouver on nights like that. What was going through his mind? He always used to say, "Come on, Lou."
That's a good point. Hey, we're a couple of weeks away from the roster announcements for the Four Nation Face-Off. Did you guys do your homework? Hotch, you didn't do your homework.
We had a bit of a discussion last night, actually, about some of this briefly. But
I don't remember
walked
the
through
homework.
Team USA and Team Canada.
But I'm going to copy
Finland,
Woody's homework.
Sweden. Okay.
It'll be like my days in high school.
Woody, give us an idea of where Sweden and Finland are looking.
I think with the Finns, you're number one with a bullet, and he also happens to be having a hell of a season right now. You may not be able to see it in the raw numbers, but the underlying numbers have him near the top of the entire National Hockey League. Matter of fact, when I checked tonight before we went on air, he led the entire NHL in goals saved above expected by Clearsight Analytics work, and that is Jussi Saros of the Nashville Predators. My hunch is you're going to end up with Jukka-Pekka Luukkonen there with him, and a strong chance you end up with his former playing partner there as the number 3, Kevin Lankinen, now with the Vancouver Canucks. That's how I see 1, 2, 3 going for the Finns.
It's exactly what I was thinking too, Darren.
That's amazing analysis. Dynamite drop in, Monty.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm copying his homework.
So I feel like it's grade 12 when I was the math geek. Somebody just looking over my shoulder.
What would be the next option?
Quickly searches Finnish goaltenders because he only went 1, 2, 3. Was it Forsberg or is he Swedish?
Swedish.
Yeah. Somebody's going to come take away my union card for not having this off the top of my head.
But that's a top heavy nation right now.
Well,
And
that was part
you
of
want
the
to go
discussion
National
last
Hockey
night.
Leaguers because it's a National Hockey League event.
This is part of our discussion last night for all the heat that's Canada's taking. And certainly we don't have what we used to have. We don't have the Brodeurs and the Waws and the Luongos and the Prices. We don't have what America has to choose from. We don't have what the Russians have to choose from this year. But for all the focus on Canadian goaltending and what they do and don't have this year, I think you can also make the argument that the Finns and Swedes have a couple really great options at the top, but it's not like their depth chart's running 7 deep either right now.
Sweden.
Me again?
Copying again.
Well, it's got to be Jacob Markstrom at the top of that list, no? Linus Ullmark, I would assume, is in there too, although he's not having the start in Ottawa that they would have hoped for. Probably adjusting to a new team, but I got to think he's in that mix. And beyond that, like, there's a lot. There's like a handful of really good options.
There's a lot of another
Gustafsson?
next guy. He could be there. He could be there. That guy could be there.
Well, Philip Gustafsson is...
I mean, for this goal scoring, if nothing else, right? Offense.
Yes.
That's Hutch's contribution. It's actually a good one because Gustafsson is right where he was 2 years ago, amongst the best in the NHL by the adjusted numbers. So that's a pretty good 1, 2, 3.
You had another one last night.
Gustafsson, Ullmark, and Markstrom.
Soderblom you brought up last night.
Oh, yeah, Arvid Soderblom's having a hell of a season in Chicago, but I don't think he's going to be on that list.
Samuel Ersson, he's hurt, but he's
been
good.
really good too. Yeah, so the Swedes run a little deeper. Maybe that argument about, Canada, making the comparison isn't quite as fair with the Swedes. They do have quite a few goalies after the top ones.
But that's a nation where it's the biggest turning of the page, right? From the last time that we had best on best.
Some guy named Lundqvist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime. Well, I mean, I would argue Carey Price is also a massive turning of the page for Canada.
Yeah. That's fair.
Price,
I'm
Luongo.
trying to do the math in my head, like what would be the biggest segue? And I don't. You're right. Just Canada feels deeper.
I don't know how you decide between those countries as to which is deeper. I mean,
2 Hall of Famers. I'll call it equal. I'm trying to give some confidence to the Canadian side.
Well, the irony is the Canadian side, there's names that we keep hearing. Binnington, Vegas, Aiden Hill, keep hearing those names sort of from people that are involved at the Canadian side. And yet, if you look at who's having the most success this year, it's Cam Talbot, it's Logan Thompson, it's Jake Allen, it's Mackenzie Blackwood. So I'm curious, like for all the focus, like
that
there's
Mackenzie Blackwood name, I've heard that a couple of times.
he's behind a bad team right now. He's outperforming his environment by a decent margin. He is an absolute beast, and it would be curious to see what he'd be like behind a good team again. That's the other challenge, though.
That
if you've
is
never
a
played
huge
behind
point.
a good team.
Yeah. Huge point. I hear it when trading for John Gibson comes up, and people say, what will he be like behind a good defense? And you wonder that a little bit about Mackenzie Blackwood, putting him in that situation. But he's a Hockey Canada guy. He's been through the program.
It's kind of like if you're not busy too, right? Like it's a different beast under the spotlight of wearing your nation's jersey, and now all of a sudden, instead of 35, 45 shots, and you're just trying not to lose, you're only seeing 18, and you can't make a mistake. Like it's a whole different mental process from what some of those guys that aren't playing on good teams have been through for the last couple of years.
Do you think any of the four nations would take a goaltender based on the system they're going to run defensively?
I don't know if any of them will, but I can tell you that I truly believe there's a horses for courses element, and that there are certain guys on that Canadian list that have very different relative strengths and weaknesses. And if you're going to consider or take them, you better have an eye towards how you're going to play. Like, for example, and this probably isn't going to happen because he hasn't had a great start to the season, but if you're taking Stuart Skinner, then you better not be planning on getting into a track meet, a best-on-best all-star type format, just open the doors and trade chances, because his rush numbers are not good at all. So there's an oversimplification, like strengths and weaknesses, what style you're going to play. And I think this is going to be a very competitive tournament. You'll see teams defend really hard, but it's also not the Olympics. It's 4 countries in the middle of a season. If this gets a little pond hockey-ish, I want to make sure I've got a goaltender who can handle that.
Will any of the four nations, and Hutch, I'll get you to answer this first, go down the path of taking a prospect, a younger guy, as the third goaltender, knowing that we are going to be in a consistent cycle of best on best going forward?
I would like that to happen. I think that's a wise thing if you really think that they're a prospect that might be available to your country a few years down the road. I love
and
the idea.
Expose them to the whole experience.
I love the idea of development. But on the completely other side of it, and Woody shot down the possibility of this happening when we were chatting last night, but also love the idea of going the complete other direction and have a nice glue guy in the room with bringing Marc-Andre Fleury for Canada as a number 3. Do you do that? Do you look at character?
I don't like that. Nothing against Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't like the idea of taking a older guy or a veteran guy or a glue guy who happens to be having a good season and bring him along for if he's not going to play. I would rather go a prospect, or a younger player.
I mean, the other side of that equation though is like, what does the prospect get out of it?
Practice?
I mean, you get a little bit of practice there. They get kind of a fun experience. I don't know that it is. I know I'm the one who said it'd be nice to have it from a development perspective, but is it development?
No.
It depends. It's funny. Like in the past, we'd say, yeah, getting to watch how Carey Price or Roberto Luongo or Martin Brodeur gets ready in that environment, how they handle the pressure, and that would be an experience in itself. Being in the room, seeing how those guys. But we don't have that guy. Like that guy isn't there. I would put it this way. I would say that amongst the goalie people that are a part of this decision-making process for Canada, Marc-Andre Fleury's name was at least bandied about as possible. I'm with you, Darren. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's not, actually, but it actually did get raised as a possibility. I think because you're not, and Russia's not in the tournament, but you don't have that depth like the Americans have, where if Connor Hellebuck happens to be in a bit of a funk at that time of the year going into the tournament and has a bad game or two, you've got Jake. The Canadian decisions involve a lot of guys who tend to run hot and cold. And so
the roster has to be in and announced a month and a half before.
That's what I mean. So I'm taking the 3 best options. I am not taking some super young kid or I'm looking for the best goalie as my third option, because there's a chance that one of the other two guys that I've picked might be in a downswing at that point of the year.
I see what you're saying. You're not even talking about the tournament itself. You're talking about what happens between now and the tournament.
Yeah, I'm just saying you could, like...
You're getting more lottery tickets in that respect.
You have more lottery. You're relying on more...
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
You're relying more on it. Like, I just think Canada is looking at more of a lottery ticket than, say, the Americans.
Yeah. Educated bets, we should really call them. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of lottery
because
tickets.
they don't have there is no Hellebuck.
So here's another name that's been tossed around, at least in the socials, for another interesting reason, who happens to be part of this week's Pro Read by Visual Edge, Joey Daccord, who could play for two of those countries.
Joey Daccord, Canadian goaltender. I read a story where Jim Nill actually said they were contemplating this and looking into it. Dad's from Montreal, Canadian passport. Mom's from Switzerland, born in the USA, so he can play for the Americans. Hasn't played for anyone internationally yet. Eligible for Canada, eligible for USA. Evidently, they're looking into it. Was asked at one point to play for Switzerland internationally because of his mom's passport. Turned it down. So Joey Daccord, free agent. His numbers are off the charts good right now. Would be up there with any of the Canadian options in terms of his performances to date. Could that actually happen? I don't have the answer, but the fact
I've never heard of it before. I've heard of guys playing for one country, getting citizenship and playing for another country, but I've never heard of a player at this level being an international free agent.
Brett Hull.
World Juniors, you can play. There's guys that pick a nation, but we're talking best on best National Hockey League players being international hockey free agent.
Ultimate late bloomer was never asked to play for one of those countries earlier on. I mean, this is the reality by this. And again, I don't have any information on this. I just read a story whereby Jim Nill, who's with the Canadiens management team, said they were looking into it. And that is amazing.
I'd love somebody to be a free agent and be able to do it at this age, because you've already used it. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. You say, oh, he's a Hockey Canada guy. He's been part of the program before. I'm not even sure why that should play into it. Like, who are the best goaltenders? The fact that somebody from Hockey Canada picked a guy X number of years ago to be one of the national teams does not make him a better goaltender to be part of the program now. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, but they do have a tendency to stick with their guys.
Yeah, sure. Just to make it their original picks look even better. I can't stand it. Get me going.
Hot take from
He's going to get him going. I'm going to start talking about a pick that they never would have made without somebody else in this room.
Let's loop back on this Joey Daccord situation. Would you, if you're Team Canada, take him to lock him up as one of your options for the Olympics next year? I think that would be smart.
There you go. Yeah.
If your third goaltender doesn't stand out amongst the crowd, like nobody's grabbing that, why not go down that path?
Here's another one. Would you, if you're America, offer him the spot this year to lock him up and make sure that Canada has one less decent option?
Offense by playing defense or defense by playing offense?
And Joey Daccord will get you from defense to offense. He handles the puck really well when we talk about systems and how you want to play.
Okay, would you, if you're Hockey Canada? I'm thinking right now, I'm going down that path. I'd put out an offer if it was available to me.
I'd absolutely be looking into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is why I hang out with you guys. I didn't even realize that was potentially an avenue.
I
just saw it on social this week. I can't say it's a brilliant idea here, and I don't know who to credit it to, so I apologize. But
and everything's, if you throw in Wikipedia on there, you've got a double confirmation.
I think it was Ken Campbell in the Hockey News was the story that I saw Jim Nill quoted in. So if we're looking to give credit, Ken Campbell's the first person I read it from.
Well, good on him, because that's a scoop.
Good one, eh?
Especially if it happens.
Really good. We've got our Hockey Shop gear segment coming up. We also have the parent segment brought to you by Stop It Goaltending You, the app. Pro Reads presented by Visual Edge, and the feature interview brought to you by NHL Sense Arena, and Sudsy, our good friend, is going to be the subject of that. But the Hockey Shop gear segment dealing with True, the kids line with the True Hzrdus presentation, and what's going on over Black Friday coming up, so they must be busy because they'll be open, but they'll be busy.
Yeah, we were there today.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, just sale stickers on everything. I don't know, actually. I wouldn't want to be the person that has to slap those on. Literally on the player side, they have over 5,000 sticks marked down 50% off. And on the goalie side, I don't know if there's 5,000, but almost everything's on sale. So make sure if you have a chance, you're looking to save some money, whether it's for you or to get a gift under the tree for the goalie in your life, no better time than right now to check out thehockeyshop.com, the hockey shop source for sports in Langley. Their Black Friday sale is on. They've been sort of trickling out the releases over the past few days leading up to actual Black Friday on the online sale. But the truth is, if you search it, every item is available on sale already. Get ahead of it before it gets sold out. Sticks from Warrior and True at 50% off. Sticks from CCM and Bauer at 30 to 40% off. Just all kinds of deals all over the store on all kinds of gear to get you ready for Black Friday and into the holiday season.
You can get that empty net stick at a cheaper price and have it standing by for you when the other team pulls the goalie.
I am not sure the Bauer Proto is one of the brand new, just released limited edition.
Might not be on sale.
Might not be one of the ones on sale, but there are other options there to help you get it up and down the ice.
Yeah, dive into that. For sure, there's going to be an opportunity to make you a better flipper of the puck or sauce pass, 180-foot sauce pass. That's what we're looking for. The gear segment, dealing with the True Kids Hzrdus line.
Yeah, and I think we just head this over to Cam. This is his expertise. That's the one thing, right? Like, Cam's an adult, although he doesn't behave like it often in our gear segments.
Nor does Woody.
But okay, fair, true. But Cam deals with kids on a regular basis. He knows how to fit them, knows how to get them in gear that works. It's one of the things that makes them special is that all those guys play it. They've all fitted tons of kids over the years, and they all have great insights. So when it comes to insights into the True Kids line, I think we just hand it over to Cam. Welcome back to the Hockey Shop, source for sports. We're over in Goalie Utopia, where I apologize in advance. There's probably going to be some noise in the background, construction, because much like the position itself, they are constantly evolving and looking to get better here at the Hockey Shop, source for sports. So the 30,000 square foot warehouse with all this great goalie stuff is not enough. 34,000 square feet. Thank you. Not enough. They're improving. So we're dealing with a little construction noise.
Yes.
As we continue our look at kids lines this week with True. Cam, I know nothing about this. I don't have children that want to play goal, so walk me through Hzrdus. I've got the junior line here. Is that all it is?
Junior.
Hzrdus Junior.
That's correct. So you're currently holding leg pads. So as usual, let's start with the leg pads. All right. So
they're itty bitty.
Yes, exactly.
I like itty bitty.
Smaller version of, say, the Hzrdus 7X4. Looking onto the back of the pad, we start to see some of the differences, obviously being scaled down to that junior pad. So as we open it up, we see a trimmed down version of their FRS system, designed to fit more of that junior style leg, something a little bit smaller. Still nice big knee stack, sure grip on the knee, designed to help hold on to that knee cradle a little bit better.
Give you a little butterfly stability.
Exactly. So flat style boot. Weave slide surface, so not their exact same as that you've seen the Flash Glide kind of use. Now they've got their like diamond edge material. You're not going to see that here. You're just going to see that flat weave along the side. The pad itself, without that outer roll break, again, kind of gives the illusion of something that is going to be a little bit on the stiffer side, but it's actually quite a soft pad still. It's not very, very rigid. You can still get some good flex to it as well. So
what sizes do they come in?
24, 26, 28. All stock with their +2, even though I can't really call that a +2, but it's there.
Key to sizing is getting it right with kids. I know sometimes it's tempting, right? You want to get a bigger pad so they can grow into it. The reality is if it's too big, they can't skate in it, they can't move, they can't butterfly, nothing works, and they're going to get frustrated, they're going to struggle. So sizing is key. If you've got questions, we'll give you the number later that you can talk to Cam and his crew to make sure you get the right size, how to measure it. Let's go to the glove.
So
easy to close.
Yes.
That's a positive.
Single offset tee. That offset tee does help with that closure a little bit more. Skate lace pocket, help to retain that puck a little bit better. Even though Kevin is able to get his hand in there, it is actually a tight fitting glove. So again, more designed for that proper junior size.
Yeah, it feels like, again, I have small hands, don't judge. It does feel more like a pro glove. You've got all the sort of finger pockets in there. It's
$5.90 break.
It's a nice glove.
Yes. So again, not too much fanciness here. It's just a scaled down version of that 7X4. Blocker. Thin blocker board. tight fitting on the hand. I don't think either of us can get our hands into this one. So again, a little bit more designed for that junior kid in mind.
Not happening.
Nope. So
Where's Hutch? We need him. He's got tiny, tiny hands.
I think he's out producing somewhere.
No judgment on that.
So again, nothing too fancy to say about this blocker. Thin, lightweight, tight fitting on the hand. Again, that gear that's specifically geared for that age group. So if you have any questions,
Including sizing, where do they get you?
604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790 or check us out at thehockeyshop.com.
We've gone through a bunch of different lines aimed towards kids and younger goalies. Talked to you about all the different options. If you have questions about which one's best for your kid in terms of both style, fit, sizing, and price point, because there are variations there, make sure you give them a call. It doesn't have to be Cam. His entire crew here at the hockey shop all plays goal, all understands. I've seen them all fit young kids. They know what they're talking about, and they can help you out.
He's the grown-up. Because you said something going into Cam's segment that had me thinking. So then I decided to just go call him a grown-up. Do you refer to Cam as an adult or an adult? How do you pronounce that word?
I do adult.
Okay.
It actually
It might
probably
be,
depends. This would depend on the sentence even, I think.
I guess when you say...
See, I'm in my own head right now. I wasn't sure how to say adult or adult.
Oh, this is... I was a math and computer and physics guy, so let's not get into the English.
I struggle with adulting, so...
And Woody just writes it. He doesn't have to read it.
I would love it if people would send us a note on that. but you gotta phrase it. How do you type adult or adult?
Spell it phonetically.
Record it and email it to us. And we'll play a montage next week.
Oh, that's good. Let's get into our parent segment.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Stop It Goaltending You, the app. What's going on over there with Mr. Daccord and company?
Well, first of all, guess what? This is going to be a common theme today.
Black Friday.
Black Friday sale. For the crew over at Stop It Goaltending You, the app, Black Friday sale is on their annual memberships. So everything we've done and promoted so far has been monthly. You can get, and so basically $9.99 or $10 a month. That's $120 a year. See, I'm good at the math, Darren. And times 12, carry the 1, 2. Yeah, $120 a year. Now on sale for $99. The premium membership, which offers a chance to work with the coaches and have on-call consulting, that is normally $20 a month. And again, with the math, that's $240 a year. It's on sale for $200. You save $40 there. So essentially what they're doing is taking their monthly memberships. For those of you that are in on a monthly basis, know you love the product at Stop It Goaltending You, the app, and you know you're going to be committed to it for the next year. You can save some money by buying for the full year. $20 for the regular basic level and $40 off for the premium one. And of course, both of them come with In Goal Magazine premium membership as well. Make sure you check out the app this week. They've got some primers, sort of an in-season check-in that you can do with yourself, a pep talk where they're talking about getting the emotions out of your game, and then a playbook where they deep dive into the style and tactics of one Lucas Dostal of the Anaheim Ducks, a goalie that our feature guest, Sudarshan Maharaj, knows very well.
That dude's a stud. Well, both those guys are studs. But
Sure,
Dostal is just...
Sudsy and Lucas, absolutely. Lucas is killing it right now.
What do you have for us, Hutch?
I need your help. Common question comes up, especially when, and believe it or not, I've actually seen some parents kicking around the what do we do this spring question already. And one of the questions that seems to come up a lot of the time for two different reasons. One is people legitimately wondering where their kids maybe should play next time. And another one is sometimes those of us who probably want to soothe ourselves when things aren't going so well in terms of our kids' team. And that's the question. Would you rather have your young goalie playing on a really good team or a really bad team where they see a lot more action? What do you guys think?
I look at it as two different answers. Like the spring team, I would rather be on a poor team and get lots of action, like a spring summer hockey team. During the year, I don't want my kid being shelled every game.
That's an interesting way. I've never thought of splitting it up by season like that, Darren. That's an interesting idea.
I wondered about that too, because I wondered if The sort of, we know
Top
the
here.
risks of being on a bad team. As much as there are positives to the exposure and the extra experience, and I'd rather get 30 shots than 5 and actually learn how to play the game, as much as those are seen as positives, we also know that if you give up a bunch of goals and lose a bunch of games, you often don't get to move up the ranks the next season. And I do wonder if...
Or you might just hate it and give up.
Well, there's that. But I do wonder if that from year to year carryover of where a kid gets ranked and seated within the pecking order of his minor hockey association. I've been a part of those evaluations and been frustrated when they won't go outside of the pecking order, even though the skill from one year to the next has clearly changed. But I do wonder if, as Darren said, you might be better to take the risk and play on a bad team in the spring where maybe there's less carryover. Maybe it's not the same group. Maybe it's outside of your minor hockey. Maybe it's a private team and maybe results don't matter as much.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, that's interesting. Mine was sort of, I'd say a little of both. And this is obviously an ideal situation, and you can never really design that ideal situation. But you definitely don't want just a strong team that runs the table. Though, one advantage, if you're in a situation where you practice more than you play, and I hope that's the case for most teams, is that you then get to face the best players every day in practice. If you're on a weak team and you're a really good goalie, and I've seen this happen before, the practices become too easy. And you end up in practices where you're counting goals, hoping that you can keep it under a certain number because you're playing with a bunch of weaker players. So
you got to have a pretty solid, disciplined approach to your practice habits then.
No, exactly. So that's one thing. And then I would just add into what you just said there, Darren. One of the ways you can do that is whether it's a good team or a bad team. The question that hasn't come up here yet is, what's the coaching situation? What's the environment going to be like on that team? If you got a really positive, good learning environment with a high-end coach on a high-end team, then you might learn a lot in that experience. Is there goaltending coach support? I think that probably matters more than anything in these situations. Do you have and not just is there a goalie coach, but who is that person, what they're like? Would they be able to help your kid through a difficult situation if they're playing on one of those weaker teams? Or have you got a less experienced coach maybe who doesn't understand how tough it is to be a goaltender in that situation? So I would definitely be evaluating the coaching situation. And then the other thing I was just going to add, if you did play for a good team, and there really is a lot of value in learning to win and enjoying the experience of winning some games. But are you on a good team that's able to also put themselves into enough situations where there is a challenge? So, and it gets more expensive, but is that good team able to go to some tournaments where they're facing other good teams? And so your kids still get that pressure opportunity. It's another one of those sort of best of both worlds situations. But I think we do need to say, though, guys, at the end of the day, you just need to ask yourself, what's the best development opportunity, weighing all those different factors? But we also need to just accept that few of us get that opportunity to make choices like this. Although there's more choices in the game today. So make the most of whatever situation you're faced with. Find a way to develop and have fun. And I think maybe next week what we'll do is we'll circle back to that and talk about maybe ways you can help your child develop and have a little more fun if they are in one of those situations where it's not so ideal.
I feel like I shouldn't have weighed in on this at all because nobody's ever asked me to play in a good team.
That's the other part. Like
they might have thought it was going to be a good team, Woody.
And then they saw me.
Are we speaking to the 1% right now?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, quite often you don't get a choice. You play for your local minor hockey association and you're going to be with whatever. But now parents do have a little bit more choice because you've got these, certainly here in Canada, you have these outlaw leagues where people might want to go. Sometimes they go because they think they're going to get more development there, and sometimes they're disappointed, I've heard. So there's those opportunities. As you said, with spring, you end up with a few more opportunities to make decisions as well. But it is one of those questions, as I said in the beginning, that we as parents, as we're watching poor little Johnny face 60 shots every day, we say, well, but gosh, he's getting so much more experience. I really like that he's getting that experience.
Well, the other thing, too, is like sometimes parents do face the decision, like they don't make the top rep team, but like, I mean, I don't know, here in locally, like I think at some age groups it's such a big association that there's like a fourth rep team,
right?
And it's like, do I put my kid on the fourth rep team as a potential backup? He's not even going to play every game, or do I just let him go to house, which is basically the next group of kids down, and play all the time. Maybe even play out when he's not in goal. Like have a
some
fuller
fun.
experience.
Well, that might be a fun question to tackle one week as well.
Maybe we make that a different one. But I've actually had parents ask me that question
I like that.
in years past, and I advised going to play house for one of these young guys, and this young man is now playing junior in Massachusetts in the States.
Love it.
So, and at that point, he kept having results, and he wasn't getting opportunity at the higher rep leagues, and it was either the 4th level rep or house, and he went to house so he'd get to play, and all those years later, I think 4 years later, he's playing junior hockey. So sometimes the best decision is not to be on the quote-unquote best team you possibly can.
I appreciate the angle of coaching. I think that should play a significant factor in the coaching style, but fun has to also influence which direction you go.
Huge. And that
Massively.
also, I mean, the coaching situation factors into that as well, because there's
fun,
some coaches are win at all costs, and some are just have fun, and some find did you see that great social piece? I think it was Minnesota Wild put out, where it was, what if NHL players were on a minor hockey travel team? And they show the coach come in, and I actually was watching it on silent with other people around me, but I think as I read his lips, it was, and you boys don't go play in the pool tonight. And then a bunch of the Wild players are playing mini sticks in the hotel lobby. They've got their names up on the doors of every hotel room, as moms and dads like to order these cool things to make their kids feel like pros. And fabulous piece. You should go check it out. Really well done.
Sounds awesome. I love the creativity of team social media accounts. Get into the Visual Edge pro rates and some good reaction. Obviously, pro rates, people love them, but the idea that we're bringing a little bit more exposure to the pro read side.
Well, we want to make sure we talk about it on a weekly basis. And guess who our pro reads guest is this week?
I already told you.
None other than Joey Daccord. Canadian, American, you decide. But he is the guest this week in pro reads, and he got to break down another international sniper, odd man rush Alexander Ovechkin. Block react decisions, how to anticipate pass or shot off the rush. Joey got into all of it in our latest pro reads, presented by Visual Edge. And stop me if you've heard this before, when we talk about Visual Edge, we're talking about a Black Friday sale. Use the code INGOAL and you save 40% all the way through, I believe, December 2nd. InGoal Premium members, go to the website. There's a Black Friday story. Also, all the pro reads have it. If you use your special membership discount code, I can't say it because you got to be a member to get it. Check it out on the site. You save 50% off. Visual Edge is weight training for your eyes and your brain. 50 plus NHL and American Hockey League goalies use it. Some of our pro reads guests, Joseph Wool, uses it. So yeah, make sure you check them out at Visual Edge and check out all the Black Friday sales. As for Joey, let's just ask him whether it matters if Alexander Ovechkin is the guy coming down the wing or not.
I remember telling my friends after the game that, in this situation, there's about 100% chance that Ovi was getting that puck.
Is that part of the read?
Well, it's 100%. Like, if that was someone else on the one-timer, if that was someone else on the one-timer, I'm probably not as quick to jump on it. This play.
What are you looking for? Is it crosses the blue line in a 3-on-2?
Yeah, so it's hard to miss Ovi.
Okay.
So
he's
I saw
on the
him
ice
over there.
Yeah.
I've seen him score about however many goals, hundreds of goals from that dot there.
Just, I was thinking about it before you let Joey answer. If Ovechkin has the puck, I would play him to shoot. If Ovechkin doesn't have the puck, I'm playing for the pass. I'm selling out there.
You're playing for the pass, but you're playing for Ovechkin to shoot in both those cases, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
If Ovechkin's on the ice, you're playing him to shoot.
He's getting the puck. Actually, he had a 2-on-1 against Vegas earlier this year, and the likelihood of him passing wasn't very good, but you still have to respect the pass, and that's the dilemma. He ended up shooting. He ended up scoring, but I would think that everybody in the building was on board with he's probably keeping this, knowing where he was this audio at the chasing of Wayne Gretzky.
How many different when it's regular season and he's chasing Wayne Gretzky? How many times did he pass out of good shooting chances in the Stanley Cup final that year? That was definitely a part of their game plan to go east-west, even when it was Ovi with the puck on his stick.
Right. That's one of the great dilemmas. On a 2-on-0, are you playing the guy to shoot? That I'm playing the guy to pass. If you've ever been in that situation, because hockey players are very unselfish.
And if the guy in like a drop-in skate shoots on a 2-on-0, and you're
he's getting yelled at all the way around,
then you absolutely call him a donkey as he skates by. Who shoots that?
Even if that's a no-win situation for him.
Oh, it's a terrible situation.
He's a donkey because he's selfish, and if he doesn't score, he's just plain old selfish. And you stopped him, and his buddy's mad at him because he didn't pass it.
So you better pass it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm playing the pass. I think we settled that right there. Thanks to Joey, and please keep us up to date, Joey, on what you're going to do. Switzerland, Canada, the United States.
I'm pretty safe to say it's not Switzerland.
Well, yeah, for the 4 nations. You're right. Good for them for trying, putting out the offer. The Sense Arena feature interview this week is a special one, close to our hearts.
Yeah, Sudarshan Maharaj, who is most known, if you don't, has come through his battle with pancreatic cancer. It's Hockey Fights Cancer Month. We have had the chance to catch up with Sudsy a couple of times in person, once in Toronto over the summer, and then again while he was on a scouting mission with the Ducks here just recently. And we wanted to sit down and do a formal interview. And it's a little emotional. I struggle a little bit as an interviewer, frankly, with this one because of some of the emotions involved. Because the truth is we weren't sure we were going to get to have this conversation. But before we get to Sudsy, we need to get to Sense Arena, NHL Sense Arena. And is it
Black Friday
sale?
NHL Sense Arena, as anybody who's listened to our show before knows, is an incredible virtual reality tool for training goaltenders and players as well. Off the ice, anytime, anywhere. And goalies like Joey Daccord of the Seattle Kraken are not only using it as a regular tool to get ready for games, but they're also even breaking it out between periods sometimes. So on Sense Arena, you can grab Joey Daccord's various VR training plans, which are included with Sense Arena. You can get his personal morning skate routine. You can get his personal game-ready routine where he sees some shots and learns to read releases or prepares to read releases. His pregame plan to warm up the eyes, the brains, and the reflexes. There's so much in there. And with it being Black Friday, go grab it now for a 50% discount on annual training plans. And it actually goes up a little bit more if you also input the code IGM50. You'll save another $50 on top. We would love for you to do that. Those same savings hold true also because they've got these bundle deals now as well. So if you don't have a VR headset already, you can go on there during Black Friday and they've got a couple of different bundles. There's a brand new MetaQuest 3S model, which is a little bit more affordable than the other ones. So for less than $600 US dollars, you get your Meta 3S headsets, you get your controllers, your sleeves, and you get a year of NHL Sense Arena. They've also got a great deal for the more powerful MetaQuest 3 headset. We use the older MetaQuest 2 headsets, and they're fantastic as well for NHL Sense Arena. But if you do need to grab a headset, do that now that it's Black Friday, because it also gives you that huge access now to Meta's library of mixed reality titles, which is really cool. So NHL Sense Arena, Black Friday, go grab it.
Woody, I'll let you set this one up.
Honestly, we just get right into it. Let's just take it over to Sudsy. He was on his way to Sweden when we caught up with him. He is right back going a million miles an hour in the National Hockey League as the director of goaltending with the Anaheim Ducks. We talk a little bit about that role change, but mostly it's just good to catch up with him, get a sense of what he's been through and all he's gotten through. And we've already had the sense of how much he means to the goaltending community, and we're so glad to have him back in our community on the In Goal Radio podcast. Cannot tell you how excited I am to welcome back to the In Goal Radio podcast my friend, the Anaheim Ducks director of goaltending now, Sudarshan Maharaj, on his way to do a little scouting as part of his new director role. Sudsy, thank you for doing this. How are you, my friend?
It's great to be on with you, Ted. It's always great to chat with you. And, I've always been scouting with the team.
Right.
But this was giving me an opportunity to spend a little more time doing it. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Now, I guess maybe let's just quickly start there, because I do think people forget that even when you're a goalie coach, you still have an active role in a lot of organizations in keeping an eye on whether it's amateur or prospects in the system. Like, that is part of the job, even when you're actively coaching.
No question. For me, I was doing a lot of the duties that I'm doing now when I was before I was given the title. So it's definitely given me a little bit more time to dedicate to a few other things, which is great. And Peter Budaj is doing a great job in Anaheim, and getting a chance to work together with him closely has been fantastic. And Jeff Glass is also a very talented young goalie coach in San Diego. So we're definitely well staffed in Anaheim.
Okay, so I wasn't sure. I'm going to be honest here. I didn't know we'd ever get to have this conversation again. And for those that maybe aren't familiar with the backstory, you get the news in 2023 of May, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Walk me through what the last couple of years have been like, because I've kept in touch with you, but people who know you from our podcast in the past, who know you through your work in the goaltending community, maybe haven't been as up to speed. I feel blessed just to get to do this with you again. How have the last 2 years been? I don't know how else to put it. I'm doing a really poor job of asking this question because I'm not sure how to ask it, my friend.
You know what? It was. There really isn't a great way to ask this question, to be honest with you. So I don't blame you at all. At the end of the 2023 season, I was standing in the dressing room with John Gibson, and we were chatting, and I said, my stomach's killing me. I think I have an ulcer. And he said, well, just you better get that looked at when you go home at the end of the season. I was like, yeah. So I got home, and he was waiting for my appointment, and started to get a couple of other things pop up that didn't seem correct. And I don't have the greatest kidneys in the world, and went to urinate, and my urine was black, and I thought my kidneys were shutting down, and that sent me to the hospital. And once I got in the hospital, the doctor informed me that something was causing the bilirubin to spill out of my gallbladder to spill into my bloodstream, and that thing that was blocking my gallbladder duct was a mass, was pancreatic cancer. And so, of course, I didn't believe it. Didn't believe it for a moment. I had a cousin who had a similar diagnosis, and his was benign, and I thought for sure that's what it is. Sure enough, he sent me to a surgeon. He pulled me aside, and he said, if I had what you had, there's this one surgeon I'd go see at St. Joseph's Hospital in Toronto. And he sent me to him. And when I met with him, he broke the news to me that, yes, indeed, the biopsy had come back, and it was pancreatic cancer. And so the decision was made. We were oscillating between chemo and then surgery, and then chemo, or surgery right away. We had some talks back and forth, and decided that we were going to go with the chemo first, and followed by surgery, followed by more chemo. I had 5 bouts of chemo, and it really took a toll on me, unfortunately. The first 3 of the 5 trips to chemo resulted in trips to the hospital. I knew I was in trouble when I had this wonderful nurse who the very first day she was hooking me up to the machine, she looked down at me and she said, "Wow, they're hitting you with everything they got, huh?" And I thought, oh boy, here we go. And after the first bout of chemo, it wiped out my immune system. I got hospitalized. Then the third trip to chemo, I ended up developing blood clots in my lungs. And then I developed, I went upstairs to have a shower one day, and my heart rate went up to 167 and wouldn't come down. Was hospitalized again. So of the five first bouts of chemo didn't go so well. At that point, they opted for me to do the surgery. I started to lose quite a bit of weight. So they did the surgery. They removed my gallbladder, my small intestine, part of my pancreas, and part of my stomach. At which point, once I recovered from that surgery, then I did 6 more bouts of chemo, and I'm glad to say that those 6 bouts went a little faster and a little better than the first 5, and with no resultant trip to the hospital. So it ended up working out. And after the 11th bout, I was really sort of down. I was down to about 125 pounds, and they opted that we would stop at that point. And I was given the news at the end of, in the middle of May or towards the end of May, that I was cancer free. So they give me about a 20% chance of survival initially when they gave me the initial diagnosis. So I feel very blessed and very fortunate.
That is a lot, Sudsy, to unwrap. And it's hard to imagine going through that. What were some of the toughest points? What were some of the things that kept you going? I think enough people have heard about pancreatic cancer, as you said, 20% chance of survival at the beginning, to know that it doesn't usually end well. How to get through to this point? Who'd you lean on? What type of things helped you get through all those operations and all those trips to the hospital and rounds of chemo?
First of all, obviously my wife was hugely instrumental in helping me through this. She'd learned how to unhook the machines they had to me and hooked to me and all that. I guess I should explain that the chemo wasn't just one shot of chemo. It was I'd go in, it was about 4 hours. I'd get the chemo, and then they would hook me to a temporary bottle that would stay attached to me for 2 days. When I was done that, then when that was done, I would go to a clinic and they would unhook me and attach me to IV unit for 4 hours a day. So the whole procedure took almost 7 days to get through. And then I'd go the first few days. I was very sick, and then I'd start to feel good for about 2 or 3 days, and then I'd get hit again. So my wife really was instrumental in sort of taking me to all these appointments and helping nurse me back to health. Really, of course, my daughters were unbelievable through the process. I'd said previously in a number of interviews that what was difficult was sitting them down and planning my funeral with them was extremely difficult. You don't anticipate ever doing that in your lifetime.
No. Oh, you don't. To get through it, to be on the other side of it right now, to be back at work, to be back doing some of the things you love, to have time at home with the new job. What does it all mean to you now?
The Ducks were unbelievable. I've mentioned this previously as well. That, my contract was expiring in the midst of this, and I was really worried about how things were going to transpire at that point. The Samuelis, Jillian Samueli, who's the owner of our farm team in San Diego, and daughter of the Ducks owner, called me and was in tears. And we'd become close over the years. And about a few days later, all of a sudden, I get this unknown number on my phone, and I answer it, and it's Mr. Samueli himself, our owner, who called to say, "Hey, listen, I know exactly what's going on. I know the situation. I just want to let you know that you're going to be taken care of." They said, we're gonna make sure that everything's dealt with. Your only job is to get better, and once you're better, we'll figure it out. And a few days later, I had a contract sitting in my inbox, which was unbelievable. So that took a huge amount of stress off of myself and my family. And then to top it all off, about a week later, I just finished chemo, and I was quite ill. And somebody sent me a video message, and I'm thinking, oh, who's sending me a video message right now? And I sort of reluctantly tap on it, and it's Lars Ulrich, the drummer from Metallica. Mr. Samueli is a big music guy like myself, and he had contacted, he's friends with Metallica, and he contacted Lars and said, "Hey, our goalie coach is having a rough time. Can you send him a message?" And so the message basically was, "Hey, it's Lars. Just want to let you know the guys in Metallica are thinking about you on your journey, and I want to wish you the best," kind of thing. So it was an unbelievably great moment in the midst of all of that. So yeah, that was really an important part of the process. As far as sort of how things are going now, it's full tilt. Once the season started, I'd already started at the Linka tournament in Edmonton, started scouting in August. I was down for training camp for all of training camp. Peter Buda had asked that I come and sort of help him with the transition and with the goalies. So I was on doing all the goalie skates with Peter and the goalies. They of course took all the practices, but I was there at least to help out with the goalie skates. And then now I literally circulate between Anaheim, San Diego, Tulsa, and then now off to Sweden to work with one of our prospects as well as scouting. So it's a big giant circle that keeps widening, it seems.
I know how much you love to teach. I know how much you enjoyed being on the ice. I know we've talked in the past about your background as a teacher and more than just a goalie coach. You getting the chance to still scratch that itch whether you're heading to Sweden or when you're in the ECHL or when you're up with Anaheim, to be out there a little bit with the guys too?
Absolutely. That's been both Peter and Jeff have been fantastic about and welcoming to me about making sure that I still get to jump on the ice, the goalie skates, and spend a little bit of time with them and with the goalies. And so it's been fantastic to still get the opportunity to get out on the ice and at least get a little bit of time to get the blades wet.
I mean, are you taking a ball and a catcher's mitt over with you to Sweden? I know we used to talk about teaching these European goalies how to throw and catch a baseball.
Actually, this development camp, I changed it up a little bit, and
did you?
I got lacrosse sticks, and the kids had to we extended the catching radius a little bit, and so we had all of the kids learn to catch with lacrosse balls and lacrosse sticks, and had to work on their hand-eye coordination, as well as we used it as part of our conditioning routine. So they would run through the warm-up drills that an NLL team would run through and have the ball while they're doing it. So they had so much fun with it. The guys in San Diego took them with them, actually.
I love it. Where did that idea come from?
I played lacrosse as a kid and remembered how much it helped me, my hand-eye coordination growing up. And I thought, you know what, I'd give them something completely different to work through. And the guys absolutely took to it like ducks in water. Starts with a bad pun. And they loved it, and they thought it was such a great activity for them to improve their hand-eye coordination. They absolutely loved it.
And they're working I kind of think it's not the same as tennis, obviously, but I think of Henrik Lundqvist and the fact that when he used to play tennis in the off season, because you're running and doing those drills, there's a footwork movement component as well as you're working on your eye-hand coordination.
No question. And the whole concept of having to differentiate different types of movements and as well while still maintaining your eye on the ball and having to work your way around while still anticipating where the ball was going to go and all those things. It was actually a great activity for them to have to think their way through a warm up. Actually,
I know how much those guys mean to you. I know how much you mean to the guys. I talked with John Gibson while you were going through your battle. I talked with Lucas Dostal while you were going through your battle and away from the team. And they both talked about what you mean to them as a person beyond just a goalie coach. And I know you've had an impact on other goalies around the league. I think of an Anthony Stoller's killing it right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who would credit you for a big part of his success from his time in Anaheim. What did guys reach out as you were going through it? What did some of the support, what were some of the stories you heard from guys, and what did it mean to you? How did you stay connected beyond the Samuelis to your hockey family as you were battling through the cancer and the chemo at its toughest spots?
It was fantastic. Both John Gibson and Lucas would text regularly to see how I was doing Anthony, with the same, former goalies, Kevin Leach, Steve Ballotette, lots of them, Dwayne Rolison, Marty Biron, Ricky Pietro, just, I can't name them all reached out to see how I was doing and to make sure I was doing well. So it was a really good moment in some tough days sometimes when I got the messages from those guys and still felt like I was still part of their every day.
In those moments, knowing that you've impacted them as people as well as goalies, because I think when we're in the goalie coaching world, we're in the day-to-day of the NHL, like it's a battle, right? Like it's a constant battle and it's a grind. Did it mean more just sort of knowing that you'd had that impact on them beyond that day-to-day?
Oh, for sure. I say it all the time. I don't coach goalies. I coach people. And
right.
And so, watching these guys go through their careers, watching them grow up in some cases. Lucas was a skinny little kid from Czechia when we drafted him, and now he's a world champion. A man who's an unbelievable goaltender, but an unbelievable person. I was at John Gibson's wedding. I was one of the first people that knew when he and his wife were expecting their first child. I'd been with Kevin Weeks at his wedding. All of these guys. Really, it's a wonderful feeling to know that you've forged a great relationship. Anthony Stolars has always been a guy that's been very, very has shown his gratitude in with his words often, and so I know how it's affected his life, and that feels great. But they've also had a great impact on me as well.
Some hard conversations during those times?
Oh, for sure. Calling some of my former leagues to be my pallbearers was a difficult call to make. I was going to have an all-star team carrying me out. I called Ryan Miller and Kevin Weeks and John were going to be three of my pallbearers, and the fact that all stood up and were willing to do it was a great feeling.
Well, I mean, I hope you made you talked about bad puns, and pardon mine, but I hope you made a joke about after all these years of carrying them, it was time to return the favor.
Yeah, literally. Actually, I think it's the way around. They've all carried me really already.
What? So, I mean, just to wrap it up, I know you've got to go. I know you've got a flight to catch, but it's Hockey Fights Cancer Month, and I know that everyone has been impacted by this, myself included, losing my dad last summer by this disease. But I think sometimes it hits a little deeper, obviously, and I'm guessing that might be the case for you this month.
Oh, for sure. I've taken part in a number of the NHL Fights Cancer activities already, and I've had a number of people reach out to the Ducks when they heard my story and asked that I speak to relatives or friends of theirs about their journey, and which I've gladly done. But I have to be honest, it's taken a little bit out of me each time.
Right.
So there's no question. I love doing it, but and I love the fact that the NHL has taken such a good role in NHL Fights Cancer Month. But it is no question it brings up a lot of tough days, but it's all been worth it.
Well, I apologize for bringing up more of them on this. We just wanted to get everyone up to speed on where you were at and share some of the good news and some of the, I don't want to say lessons that come from it, because it's not about the lessons that come from it, but is there a perspective shift? Because like I said, like in the day-to-day and that grind and the battle, sometimes it can be easy to lose perspective. And having been through what you've been through now, does it change anything now when you're dealing with your goaltenders? Oh,
for sure. I think it changes everything when in dealing with every day. Just a heck of a lot more patient about a lot of things now. because you go through these things, and you if there's one thing you do learn, it's patience. And I felt that I hadn't been gracious enough with my time, and generous enough with my time and money and all those things. And so I made up my mind that I was going to volunteer a lot more and help out a lot more. And I've already started that process. We're working with some Indigenous kids up in the far north this summer for a camp, and volunteering for a number of cancer things through the team. So it's definitely created a shift in my thinking.
Okay, Sudsy. Really appreciate you spending the time. I'm sorry to ask you to go back to some of those places and share some of those stories, but you have always been gracious with your time for us. The goalie union, the goalie world that listens to us here at In Goal Magazine has always appreciated all the knowledge you've shared over the years, and we're just so grateful that we get to keep doing it. So thank you again, and it's good to get to do this again. I look forward to the next one.
I appreciate it, Kevin. Hopefully we can do it a little longer next time. I apologize. I had to run out on you here, but I've got to get to Sweden.
It's all good. The Swedes cannot do without you, my friend. I know a lot of the history that's there, and a lot of your roots in the game are over there. So enjoy the trip, and we'll catch up soon. Sounds
great, Kev. Thank you. All the best.
Such a fraternity with that group. And there's so friend. I think of Vegas, Sean Burke and Freddie Brathwaite, Mike Rosati. They're the happiest people around the rink. Sudsy, when I see him at a game, comes right up. Even if I don't, my back's to him, he'll come up and, hey, how's it going? Like, just such a wonderful world. At the highest level of our sport, they're the best people around.
They're
goaltenders.
There's a goalie union within the goalie coaching union, a separate union, and Sudsy's been a big part of it for a long time, obviously with the New York Islanders, the time he spent there. Our first time we interviewed him, we talked about all his roots in Sweden and the work he did there, not just coaching goalies, but working with at-risk youth. He's done it all. He's a teacher. And as much as we talked about his journey and his battle and his fight and some of the emotions that came with that, we had to get in his latest, which is, he's a guy that's brought out baseball gloves. I asked if he was going to take some baseball gloves to Sweden. And what did he say, Darren? Nope. No baseball gloves, but he did break out lacrosse sticks and balls at development camp for the Anaheim Ducks this summer. The idea of guys being able to run and get their footwork in, but still work on their hand-eye coordination by passing and shooting lacrosse balls using lacrosse sticks, and how some of the sort of roots of his youth played into that as a development plan for the Ducks goalies, and they really loved, just a different, more natural way to work on eye-hand coordination.
I can't handle a lacrosse ball. No way.
In the sense it would hurt if it hit you?
Anytime. I can't catch one. I can't throw it. I've never played lacrosse. The sport baffles me.
Oh, we're going to have to get you into Sudsy's development camp. Get you in one.
Yeah. I don't want that thing thrown at me or fired at me either.
I tell you what, when we do it to you, you can put on the full goalie gear.
No, I'm fine. I'll take a pass on this one. Thing hurts. Or
you said you can't take a pass though.
I can't. That's
just
a couple
walking
of times
into the
dad
dad jokes today.
Can't help it. I'm sorry.
No, dad jokes are fine. People that make fun of dad jokes should be brought to task and punished, because dad jokes are funny. They show a sense of humor. You're trying to enjoy life. Good on you with dad joke. I don't even know what a dad joke really is, because I just want to laugh.
I don't know, but sometimes I feel like I'm being pun-ished with the dad jokes around here.
Woody. From the top rope, in comes Woody.
What's the plan for the week, you guys? Anything on the table?
Just see what trouble we can get up to here in Vancouver.
Yep. We got a little... I'm going to stop some pucks, or pretend to stop some pucks. I'm going to go get hit by a couple and try and get in the way of a couple, and mostly just let a bunch go by. That's my goal for tonight. I've only stretched out. I've only had a time to stretch out one side here, so we got to get off the air so I can stretch out the other side. Otherwise, I'm going to have narrow butterfly one side, wider on the other.
Go blocker side, boys. Go blocker side. He's too stiff there tonight.
Hutch, you gonna go watch and take the shot count?
I didn't even think I should be doing that tonight.
Keep track of the shots and tell the guy or the person running the shot clock. You missed 14 because Woody's been
I've
better.
got an opportunity here to get a new YouTube video up. It could be our most viewed video of all time.
Hutch just come out with the he'll have the Stop It app tracking shot quality for me.
Yes. This is content.
I'm sorry.
It's
My
staring
parents
us
taught
in
me
the
the
face.
golden rule. My parents taught me the golden rule. I can't do it to them
Why?
because I would never want anybody filming me. It's the golden rule.
Well,
Do unto others.
fine. What are the chances he's going to be in the right place at the right time to film you? Let's take advantage of this right now. Woody, I love you.
I got a new backup. I got a new game stick, so I want to show it off tonight.
Attaboy. Go get him. Have fun, okay, buddy?
I will.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate your dedication to the world of goaltending. All the Black Friday sales, go capitalize on it. If there's any way that it can work for you, there's an opportunity right in front of you. Enjoy your week and be safe and happy goaltending.